This is Tiny Movie. Today Tiny Movie shows you a horror mystery movie from 2021, VHS 94. Spoiler alert. VHS 94 is a movie about a mysterious VHS tape that tells the tale of a SWAT team, a drug raid discovery of a strange video cult headquarters whose followers thrive on extreme material, but as well some other creepy stories recorded on this VHS tape. Immediately after the SWAT team entered the base of operations, they started the investigation and found a room similar to a studio and encountered a group of dead people there who were killed while they have tranced all together. The police detected that the dead people have amputated and their eyes have removed. While the police were searching the murder scene, on screens in the room suddenly a film footage of a news show started playing. Channel 6 anchorman and his co-host were talking about a mysterious creature, half man half rat, which is reported to live in the sewers of the city. Holly Marciano, Channel 6 reporter, and her cameraman Jeff were sent to the location, where locals claim they have seen the ratman. They were sent there to interview local residents about the ratman appearance, and where they saw it exactly. Few minutes after that report, Holly was informed that she and Jeff had to make a new thorough report close to the place claimed that Ratman lives. They moved to the tunnel entry which locals believed Ratman was there. When they start recording their report, they heard an ominous scream from inside the tunnel. Jeff tried to convince the upset Holly to go inside the tunnel for an exceptional report. Inside the tunnel they saw a mattress and a tent, but nobody was there. They kept moving forward tunnel to search and record the tent inside, but something suddenly blinked. They were so shocked that Jeff winced and dropped the camera and fled with no destination in mind. Holly, that seems to be curious, helped Jeff to return to recording. Camera flashlight helped them to see someone as close to them on the corner. Holly walked toward there fearfully and saw a muddy, scary homeless man sitting in the darkness. She went closer to introduce herself and said that she is sent by Channel 6 and wants to know if any creature has been sighted there or not. The homeless man gazed into Holly's eyes, mumbled something about seeing someone, and then chucked up a black liquid and said the rat man lives there. Holly and Jeff, freeze by seeing this horrible scene, terrified and tried to flee from the homeless man. While running, Jeff looked behind to see where is Holly, but no one was there. He was so frightened that once, just to escape that tunnel, but when he turned his head, he was grabbed by two men. Jeff's camera was filming Holly while she was coming to herself. Holly was horrified, and her breath was bursting in and out. She was thinking that abducted by a group of hobos, with tremors in the voice, told them I can help you all, and begged to be released. Suddenly, a man stepped out of darkness and mockingly said, "How can you help us, generous girl?" That man was one of the locals which Jeff and Holly had interviewed before. He called the cameraman to come closer to the dark hole to film their demonic god. That was the Rat Man. A monster with man-like body shape, but it had a long snout which the upper jaw had a human face on it. The locals there believed that the Rat Man was sent by Jesus to punish sinners, and they considered themselves as true believers. After a moment the monster crawled out of the hole wildly, and vomited a black acidic liquid on the floor. Holly saw that Jeff is dragged by the locals toward the monster. The locals believe Jeff is worthless, and must be sacrificed. The leader of the locals collected that liquid, and proudly poured it on Jeff. Jeff's head and face started burning, and then he died in great pain. Now it was Holly's turn. The local dragged her toward the hole. The rat man came out and vomited on Holly. She was shrieking, but this time Holly did not burn by that acidic substance. It gave the impression she was baptized by the rat man. The picture fades and the VHS tape shows the Channel 6 news show. The anchorman explained that despite all efforts to find, Jeff disappeared during a flood, but Holly was rescued, and she is his co-host tonight and supposed to present her news show. And the video report of Holly's rescue from sewers was shown. Holly, as if nothing had happened to her, with a fake grin began reading the state sports news, but between the reports, irrelevantly and mysteriously she kept telling Ratman, and confused all her colleagues. The anchorman wanted to stop her, and read the rest of the news himself, but Holly suddenly spewed that corrosive substance out on her co-host. All his face disintegrated into a bloody mess. She was glad to have killed her colleague on live TV. Then she happily looked at the camera and said, "Hail Ratman." The story goes back to the police raid again, which it seems to be a connected story. The SWAT team investigating on a cinema hall. They found human removed eyes again, artificial organs and blood there. Screen fades and another story begins. Two men who appear to be in charge of the funeral service, telling a young woman, Haley, to just sit in the funeral parlor and manage a wake tonight without worries, and then they fixed the camera position and left. Haley was anxiously waiting for visitors to arrive, called her friends to pass the time, but nobody comes, unless a weird old man, who came in and whispered something near the casket and left quickly. Minutes later, Haley starts hearing noises from inside the cabin, and so phones her colleague, Tim, for advice. He tells her to stay calm. That man in the cabin, definitely dead, and it's just gases in the body that make the sounds. But at night, alone in a dark room along with a dead man made her be sensitive to every sound. A moment later, when the light goes out during a storm, the casket starts moving, so Haley preferred not to listen to her colleague's advice, and took this weird happening seriously. She headed for the door to leave the building. But the door was chained. She came back inside the room, but the cabin has fallen open, and nobody was inside. Suddenly the mangled corpse staggers after Haley, with half its head missing. She tried to hide behind the chairs in the darkness and call someone for help, but realized that her phone has dropped under the chair. When she wants to take the phone, the head missing part, close to her phone, sees Haley, so it made the corpse finds Haley, and attacks her fiercely. It seems Haley turned into the zombie, and went toward the windows, and film on VHS tape fades to another story. New story opening scene, an Asian man who was beheaded, and his head was mounted on a crab-like robot which was destroyed instantly after it switched on. An old Asian man with a medical uniform on turns to the camera to explain the test case conclusion, clarifying that he is trying to use human parts to combine them with machines to turn them into cyborgs. In the next scene, the doctor while filming himself introduces his new case studies. A male subject chained to the bed and a female subject tied to the wheelchair. The doctor described to the camera that their brain tissues need to be removed partially for reaching maximum advancement in the turning of humans into killing machines better, and then starts removing half of the female brain. Days after, when the female subject comes awake, she found out that her eyes were replaced by a camera which can be monitored by the mad doc, her right hand was deformed, and her mind is supposed to be reprogrammed. The terrified female subject was shaking all over. She noticed on another operating table that doctor is turning someone into another creature. The TV in the hall was showing the news. The anchorwoman was announcing the missing of a girl and showed footage of human body parts which have found on Jakarta Soar, and police knew who is the key suspect. The presenter showed the doctor's picture and announced that he had abducted the patients from the hospitals. The girl subject who is now imprisoned by the doctor was one of the abducted girls in which news displayed her photo. The girl quickly knew herself and tried to free herself. The doctor realized that the girl's still remembering her past and wants to turn her off, but unexpectedly the police broke the door and came in and killed the mad doctor. The police starts investigating and soon they found the girl. The police captain asked the cameraman to film everything precisely. They realized that she is the missing girl, but the police captain insists to kill the girl cause she has no more soul. The captain shot the girl and suddenly the door locked and they stuck inside. A bomb exploded quickly, and the explosion killed several police officers inside. The male subject, which has become a killing machine now, wakes up and starts slicing anyone in the room with his giant blade within arm's reach. The last alive policeman threw his grenade at the killing machine to stop him, but the explosion caused the door to open. The girl starts running, and the killer machine starts hunting her. While escaping, the girl found a room which it seems to be the doctor's invention room. There, she found the last photo of herself when she was a human before becoming a cyborg, and saw the final sketch of a design, and found out what the doctor had in mind for her. She became aware of a machine gun that can be mounted on her right hand, so inevitably went to find the weapon to escape the building. The girl suddenly noticed the end of the room and the mirror which was there. Despite her refusing to look in the mirror, she had no choice but to meet her new self. The girl was shaking and could hardly breathe. She could not believe this is not a nightmare. The mirror represented her a new identity, but there was no alternative way but to go forward and find the right-hand mega gun. When she was searching, accidentally found a test room full of humans which were guinea pigs of the mad doc. Among the victims, she encountered an innocent girl, suffering as herself, so turned off her power source to end her pains and make her free. In that room, the girl found the mega gun and instantly mounted it. She could use it to kill the polices on the way out. As she was leaving the building, she encountered a soldier begging her to survive. The soldier knew the girl and told her, "I know who you are, you're Jono, the missing girl," then showed her the exit door. That was the first time someone called her by her name, so she trusted the soldier, didn't kill him, and went toward the way out. But suddenly a police captain appeared out of nowhere and opened fire on her. She fell down the stairs. The soldier that owed his life to Jono killed his commander to make her free. Meanwhile, the doctor's killing machine suddenly arrived and hit the soldier and killed him with his blade. The furious Jono stood on her feet, ran toward the killing machine, and pounded his head and killed him. The POV of Jono ends, and the security camera footage shows Juno was alive and escapes the building. The story goes back to the SWAT team investigation. The SWAT team have lost contact with the outside, and the squad have lost each other in the headquarters building. The last policeman along with 2 female police officers were looking for their teammates. In the studio, the policeman, while looking at screens, suddenly seems to be hypnotized and lost consciousness, and next story begins. The small religious militia determined to go against the American imperial system. To begin with, they intend to hit a target inside the United States. They train every day in their boot camp to blow up a state government building, based on their plan to show their power. Because of this, they were patrolling around a federal building to find a breach in security. Into a jungle, inside their camp, their everyday routine is to kill a man in a cage who the group believes has supernatural powers, and now this supernatural being has been captured by the group. To test whether the creature can really help them attack their targets, after shooting that uncanny mysterious man, they take and collect his blood, and then injects it into a rabbit which was left outdoor to test the substance's response to sunlight. The group expected that the creature which they are imprisoned is a vampire. The next day, when the sun rose in contact with the first light of day, the rabbit explodes, and the group was convinced that they gained a deadly weapon, and now can blow up the government building tomorrow. That night, group leader allowed the members to rest and have fun on the night of the operation. So the gunmen start drinking and fooling around. The cameraman, who was dead drunk, went to the vampire guard and asked him to have the nerve to hug the vampire and kiss him. The young guard resisted at first, but the cameraman called him a coward while we're filming him, and insisted he hug the vampire. That vampire was tortured every day and seemed to be weak and totally lame. So the guard went into the cage to show he has guts. He hugged the bloody vampire, but when wanted to kiss the vampire, his blood spilled all over the guard. The next morning, when the system alarm sounded, everyone rushed to the prison building. They all noticed that the cameraman has been killed and the watchman disappeared. Suddenly they hear a terrible scream inside the cage, and a severed head was thrown out to them. The dazed and confused watchman, who seemed to be passed out last night, unaware of what's going on there, came out of the building and exploded in contact with the sun's rays. The leader and crew entered the building to catch the vampire. But that vampire, who surrendered when he was imprisoned and had a man-like face, had now become a strong monster with a scary, terrible face with creepy blades, and he was expecting the group. He attacked the gunman and ate the face of the first fellow who entered the cage ground. Then he hid in a dark corner and killed all the gunmen one by one. In the darkness there, the leader was mistakenly shot by one of the gunmen, and the vampire dragged him to the same cage where he suffered every day, turned on the light source, and exploded the leader, himself, and the entire building. And the story goes back to the police SWAT team for last time. The policeman who was hypnotized regained awareness and found himself handcuffed by his colleagues. The policewomen, while were filming, took off their police uniforms and tell their colleague that they are the members of the extreme film production team, and based on their plan, the SWAT team was brought to the headquarters to be killed one by one. It was the last movie they were making for their viewers. Now in the last scene, the last victim of their movie, the policeman killed in front of the camera, and the movie ends. And thanks for watching.